many times marketing agency promise you the stars, they promise you the moon, they promise you everything, and they put it in a nice little package with a bow on it. But are they delivering on their promises? Today, I want to talk about a lot of ways of how your marketing agency might be wasting your money and what you can do about that. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm digital marketing coach Chris Heidlebaugh. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. If you're new to me, I am just truly passionate about training business owners, entrepreneurs, and employees how to take control of your own online success by doing your own in-house marketing. If you'd like to learn more about me, some of my programs, training, we have a Q&A community, things like that, you can go to digitalmarketingcoach.com. Again, that's digitalmarketingcoach.com, and you can learn more about me, okay? But today we're talking about kind of a controversial subject, right? Is your marketing agency wasting your money, okay? Now, again, I know that there's plenty of people that feel like they're getting a return on their investment, and great, that's wonderful for you. This episode is not for you, okay? I mean, obviously, if you feel like you're getting a good return on your investment, that you are making the right decision with your marketing, working with this agency, then great. You are good. You can just forward and go to the next episode, right? But if there's a doubt, if you wonder, like, could I be saving a little bit more money? Do I feel I'm getting the best bang for my buck? Am I getting the results that I've been promised, right? We want to talk about that, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why I think that your marketing agency might be wasting your money. Okay, so the number one thing is misaligned goals, okay? Now, what does that look like? Well, a lot of times an agency looks more at rankings instead of revenue, okay? Now, if you're in a space where there's a lot of egos and things like that, you might be like, dude, I don't care. I just want to rank first page of Google, the first map, the first Google ad, the first everything. Like it's all about me. It's about ego and things like that, okay? So let's just kind of set that aside, okay? But let's just kind of talk about misaligned goals in terms of, you're working with a marketing agency and they're like, hey, look, you rank on page number 1. Maybe you might even be the top 3, if not the number 1 position. But you're not seeing the needle move for your business. You're not seeing more leads come in. You're not seeing different things happening, okay? So there's misaligned goals where your agency might be like, oh yeah, you have number 1 rankings, okay? But there's no revenue. So there's a huge difference between revenue and ranking. So yeah, the company might say, yeah, we're absolutely doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing and helping you rank on the first page of Google, but there's no revenue, okay? So that's where you need to strip it down and think, okay, where is the issue? Is it that my sales team sucks, basically? Like that could be fair, right? I've been doing this for 25 years and I can't tell you how many times, like, we're bringing all these leads to somebody and either it was a technical glitch where the leads were going to spam or a trash or an email that nobody ever answered, or the salespeople just don't know how to sell. Okay. The salespeople don't know the products. The salespeople don't know anything about this stuff or they don't care. I was working with a client and they're getting like 300 leads, like say it was January, and they're getting 300 leads in January. And the business owner's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We only had 2 jobs all month long. What's going on? So it turns out that the salesperson just didn't care. They weren't following up with people. They weren't calling people. They were just taking the emails and just letting them go to trash. They weren't even doing anything. So it wasn't an agency issue. It was an internal sales team issue, right? But those are those things that you kind of have to work through. And so again, there's multiple things. And I'm not here to pick on marketing agency. I'm a marketing agency owner myself, right? But it is important to make sure are you guys have misaligned goals? Is it about rankings or is it about revenue? Okay. Now again, we're keeping egos aside and things like that. If you're like, I've worked with some industries where we are the number 1, we're the best, we're X, we're Y, we're Z. Okay. And they just want to be seen everywhere because they make plenty of money. They're not worried about, the revenue. For somebody else though, you might be like, look, we want the revenue. We don't care if we're on page 5, but we want to get the revenue. And again, I'm not getting into the semantics of why would you get leads if you're on page 5, right? But there's a lot of multiple things that go into play here, right? It depends on the competition. It depends on, your maps. Are you using a home address? Are you using other things, X, Y, and Z, right? So there's a lot of moving parts that goes along with this. So, but the thing is does the agency that you're working with, are they trying to get the same goal that you are actually wanting? So that's all right. Number 2 is going to be overpriced services. Are you paying too much? right? Again, I've talked about this. I've worked with people that were, as a retainer, was charging $18,000 a month for a retainer to just babysit their Google ads, right? So are you paying too much? And again, as a digital marketing coach, I would be, wrong to say this in a bad way, I guess, but it's just, I believe that when you do your own digital marketing, you're going to get more return on your investment. So could there be some things? Maybe you do your website maintenance, your SEO, and your, social media in-house, but you work with someone who's doing your email marketing, right? Like, you don't have to do absolutely everything in-house, but is there something that you're paying for that you could be doing it in-house and save just a little bit of money, right? Or is it something where when you're comparing apples for apples, say like I build a website for X amount of dollars, but this other company is charging 5 times that, and you think, well, it costs more, so it must be worth more. Not all the time, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be like that. But again, I've said this analogy before, like say a home service person, a plumber, is looking at 2 houses, 2 jobs. One's a $5 million house, the other one's a $400,000 house. They might charge the person in the bigger house more money because they think they can get it out of them versus somebody that they can't, right? So if I'm building a website for a company, I don't care if you're a $50 million a year company or you're a mom and pop shop, right? It's about putting out the best effort at an affordable rate, okay? Now, I've heard stories too where, big time people, they're like, well, if we're not spending $100,000 for a website, it's not a good website. Cool. Like, that's awesome, right? But it's going to be one of those things where, I just truly believe that sometimes you might be paying for services you might be able to do in-house and save a lot more money, right? Let's just say you are spending, $5,000 a month on SEO services, okay? And if you are pretty established or doing okay, then you could probably turn off the agency and still keep the same rankings, right? Maybe they're just on cruise control. So you're spending $60,000 a year where you can do it in-house and maybe save that $60,000, or maybe you give a bonus to your employee, 10 grand, and you're still saving 50 grand, right? So there's a lot of things you can do, but I really would look at your financials and look at, are you getting the best bang for your buck? All right, number 3 we're going to talk about is lack of transparency, okay? So the reason why I say is could your marketing agency be wasting your money is that lack of transparency. Are they even doing any work for you? Did you get some salesperson that just told you everything you want to hear? Now you're working with 3 people down the road. You've gone through 4 project managers, like they're in a different time zone. Everything's just a mess, right? And so what does that communication look like? Is it something when they send you, do they send you like a PDF report that's like this, 26-page PDF report that doesn't make any sense to you, right? If you ask them about the services they provided, they get all defensive. If you ask them for Google Analytics, if you ask them for Google ad logins, if you ask them for, login to their own, to your website, maybe find out you don't even own your website, right? So there's a lot of things that go into play where you're like, okay, I didn't know this. And so there's a lack of transparency. There's a lack of communication. Okay. So again, are you wasting your money with somebody because you have no idea the services that they're providing? It's very important to have them explain to you what's going on, right? What are they doing? Explain the PDF, right? They send you a PDF, say, great, let's get on a video call. And can you explain to me what you guys did? How did you get this? Explain to me the terminology, all these different things. Now, if they get defensive, dude, tell them to, kick rocks and go somewhere else, right? Find an agency that will be open and tell you what to do. And again, I'm very much a proponent for doing your own in-house marketing. Okay. And that's weird for me because I also have an agent. I mean, I do done for you services for people as well, but there's a special value that you get when you're doing your own digital marketing. And so I want to, excite you for that potential opportunity. But as long as you're working with an agency, please have them explain to you a little bit about what's going on so that you're not wasting your money. Okay. All right. So number 4 is your marketing agency wasting your money because they're working on the wrong channels? Okay. So again, if they're building you a website, are they doing it on some crappy platform? Let's keep it real, right? Like a leopard is a leopard. Okay. That's just what it is. And so are they building your website on some, proprietary software that's super special, some secret sauce, some stupid scam, right? Or are they using a mainstream, platform? Some people, like for me, like I use WordPress, right? So are they using something that somebody else can also walk into and take over Or is it something that's super hard coded? It's something that's super proprietary. Once you no longer work with them, you lose your website. You no longer get to use it. You lose all the leads. You lose all the customers. That's your website. But what about social media? What if you're selling a certain product and they're promoting you on some platform that maybe your audience is not on? Now, that sounds super odd because people are everywhere, right? But instead of being absolutely everywhere, could you focus on maybe a couple channels and be super deep, right? You're getting so many leads, so many customers, so much interaction by going, a mile wide, like a mile deep down this, instead of like a mile wide where you're like, it's kind of like, I look at it as like the shotgun approach versus the sniper approach, right? Shotgun, you're just spraying and praying and hopefully you hit something, right? A sniper, you're being very targeted. So have them explain, like, why are they choosing these channels, right? I'll give you an example. A lot of people don't use Microsoft, okay? They like marketing agencies, they don't even think about promoting your business on Microsoft, on Bing, Internet Explorer, whatever it is these days, right? And it's always weird to me. I don't understand why. Because there's a cyber psychology. When people go to their local big box store and they buy a computer, if they're not buying an Apple product, they're getting a PC. Typically, it has Windows software on this. And those are loaded with Internet Explorer or, Bing, things like that. So why would you not promote your business on these other search engines, right? It just blows me away. Now, it doesn't have to be, obviously we know that Google is the king at this time, but it doesn't mean that you can't also promote your business on some of these other platforms, right? And it's so frustrating to me that people don't take these things into consideration. So again, talk to your agency and make sure you're not wasting money, right? If they're like, oh yeah, we're putting you on Pinterest, and you're like, okay, and maybe it could work, right? But if your industry is something that you're like, I think we could focus on a couple different platforms before that, I would really talk to them about what marketing channels are they going with, why are they doing that, and then make sure that's a good use of your money. Okay, number 5, and we're going to kind of touch on this just a little bit more, is are they locking you into some long-term contract that when the honeymoon phase is over, you have no idea what's going on, right? So don't get me wrong. I work with people all the time and they'll work on monthly and packages and sprints and yearly and 6 months and all these different things, right? But it's going to be kind of one of those things where time and time again, I work with somebody and they're like, well, Chris, we're going to switch over. We're going to work with you, but we're still under contract with this other company for another 6 months, but they suck. They're not doing very good. We want to work with you instead, right? And it's very humbling and I appreciate that, right? But is it something that you're in some crazy long-term contract? Can you work month by month? Is it something that, because I want to earn a paycheck, right? Like I want to earn your business when I'm done for you services. So is it something that where when companies are outsourcing their marketing to somebody else, is there a honeymoon phase where you're like, okay, it's been three months and now I have no idea what's even going on. I have 9 more months to not know what's going on, right? So it's really important to make sure that, are you working month by month? Are you doing a yearly contract? If you're not happy with the results after so much time, can you cancel your contract? Another thing too, is there a loyalty agreement, right? Meaning that if you are in a certain city, let's just say you're in Dallas and you run a home service business. Let's say you're an electrician in Dallas. Is your marketing agency that you're working with, are they giving you loyalty where they're only going to represent you? Or are they also representing anybody with a heartbeat and a checkbook, right? Like, is it something that they're helping you, but also your competitor? So like you can only have one person, number one, on Google. And so they'll like have these different packages and everybody does something different, right? But are they really true to you? Are you just another number on an invoice? Or is it one of those things where like they truly care about you and they've given you a loyalty promise? Ask them that. Say, hey, if my competitor contacts you, like, what do you do? If they're like, well, I mean, we work with them too. And they'll give you some crazy thing of like, well, Steve, let me ask you this then. Like, and they'll follow it up with a question like, say I'm installing furnaces in your neighborhood. Are you saying that I shouldn't be able to work with your next door neighbor to put in a furnace in their house too? There's a huge difference though, right? It's like saying like, I'm going to be married to 6 wives, right? Like it's stupid. Okay. So it's one of those things where if I'm representing you and your business and I'm pouring my blood, sweat, and tears into this digital marketing campaign to help your business succeed, why on earth am I also going to work with your competitor if it wasn't just about money? So now your company becomes a commodity where I'm working with every roofer in your neighborhood that will call me. I'm working with every single attorney in your neighborhood that'll call me, right? There's a huge difference. And I've seen this happen. There's some big time agencies that, making the $25 million a year wasn't enough, that because they've done so many loyalty contracts that now they're going to open it up. And unless the customer mentions, is there a loyalty agreement, they're not going to work with you. So now it's like, okay, they're going to make you pay, double, 3 times, 5 times the price so that you get that loyalty. Because they're like, well, if we can't work with your competitor, we're going to make you pay so we can make more money, right? It's just games, right? So this goes back to the whole thing, okay? Let's just end with the 5 there. This goes back to the whole thing where I believe that you should do your own in-house marketing. It's you against the world. It's a chess game. It's you against your competition. It's you against everybody else, right? If you're sitting there and you're doing something, and say you see a social media post and your social media post looks like the same thing on your competitors, it's because the agency you're working with is also working with them, right? So just keep that in mind. And again, I'm not here to bash anybody's agency. I know there's a lot of great agencies out there, but as a business owner, an employee, an entrepreneur, you need to be aware of the things that are happening. And I want you to be equipped. I want you to be knowledgeable. I want you to hold me accountable. I want you to hold everybody you work with accountable. It's extremely important. So again, I'm digital marketing coach Chris Heidlebaugh. And if you would like to get trained yourself, if you need consulting, if you would like to bring your digital marketing in-house and you want somebody that you can trust, somebody who's going to give you a personalized program so that your team can do your own in-house marketing, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. You can go to digitalmarketingcoach.com. And again, until next time, I do hope that you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.